Hello and welcome to Cracked Open, a podcast guiding you on your journey to becoming a vessel of unconditional love. And this is your host, Beck Milonas, High Priestess, Channel, and Activator. Join me on this series as I share reflections, insights, and channel transmissions from my journey of walking the initiation path. Each episode is a unique transmission containing supportive frequencies to facilitate the deepest healing, activation, and reconnection with your soul. I invite you to open your mind and set the intention to receive this episode into your heart space. Let's go. Welcome back, beautiful souls, to another episode of Cracked Open, a podcast guiding you to becoming a vessel of unconditional love. I'm going to dive straight into it today. I've got a lot to say, hoping I'm going to say it in a quick time frame. But first and foremost, I want to say that today might bring up some stuff. There's a lot of energy moving through me, and I'm aiming for today to be a clearing. As much as it is a transmission, I'm aiming for today to be an energetic clearing of some of the fear of judgment, of imposter syndrome, of past or present. I'm already feeling it moving as I'm speaking, which is amazing. So if you consent to clearing some of this, please just mentally consent. If you don't want to receive the clearing, you don't have to receive it. Just declare, I'm just going to listen. I don't want to receive the clearing, but guys, free clearing, like why not, right? If I can help you to move through some of this on this episode, then I have served my purpose. So there may be some triggery, woundy stuff coming up, some shadowy stuff coming up. You may feel emotional as I'm going into this. So I just started launching into the explanation without saying what we're going to dive into the witch wound, right? We're going to dive into imposter syndrome. We're going to dive into fear of judgment and how that keeps you stuck as a visionary, a revolutionary, an oracle, a new earth leader, someone, a priestess, a priest, a knight of shining armor, right? Someone who is here to pave this new path forward and live out, fulfill their mission, right? Because what we're here to fulfill, and this is the first most important piece that I need for you to understand. We are here to build and leave a legacy behind us. It's not about us, okay? That's the first thing that you really need to tap into in order to start to shed and clear and remove the obstructions and blockages which are preventing you from using your voice, from speaking up, from sharing your authentic truth, from shining who you are out into the world, your authentic essence and frequency. It's not about you personally. It's about what you have chosen as a soul to come and leave behind for future generations. We are at a pivotal point for humanity's ascension process. This is the time to be here, that your soul wanted to be here. And every single lifetime and memory and moment leading up to this was so you could feel equipped to share the messages that you are here to share. Okay, I'm going to get into like what is the witch wound, or what is judgment, imposter syndrome, why do they happen? But there's just some messages that really want to come through first. And that is to remind you, beautiful human in soul in a human body, you are coming here into this incarnation with so much ancient wisdom and knowledge and codes from other places and frequency that you're here to share with the world. You are at the cutting edge, leading, right? You're paving a new path, you're leading, you're going first. A new way of being for humanity. And that is going to be uncomfortable, right? It's going to bring you up against your edges. It's going to have you reliving all of the other times you were a revolutionary, you were a freedom fighter, you were a priestess or an oracle or a seer or a medicine man or woman, and you were sharing things that were not conventional and that society couldn't handle or wasn't ready for, or which triggered things within people, their own shadow, that they were not equipped to deal with. And so they projected that back to you. And so while you're coming in here with all of this pristine, important, incredible, life-changing, transformational frequency, which we're here to share with the world. Every precipice or edge, and I'm saying this from experience, from all the things that I've had to move through to get here saying this, right, freely, it's going to bring up all those times in your past lifetimes, even in this lifetime, guys, where you were persecuted, you were embarrassed, you were defamed, you were called a liar, you were called an imposter, you were told you were selling snake oil, you were condemned, right? Someone spoke out against you and said, because of their own stuff, right? Their own fear, their own conditioning, their own programming, that you were in the wrong, that what you were sharing wasn't true, wasn't pure, wasn't clean. You were possessed by the devil. You were sharing things that, should have you burnt at the stake, right? And all of this is coming from fear. It's fear. It's the mirror that you are providing for people is showing them their own shadow, and they are projecting it back at you. So everything that you experienced is only a projection of someone else's shadow being regurgitated out at you. But it's because we're all one, it's our own shadow being projected back at us. So we are experiencing the experience and having the experience of being the persecuted instead of the persecutor, right? Because at some point, we were all the persecutor. We were all the judger. We were all the condemner. We've all been everything, okay? So that experience that you had, whether it's this time or last lifetime or 5 million lifetimes ago or some other timeline that's parallel and happening now, anything that you experienced which was at the hands of judgment from someone else was purely fear. It was just fear because you were shining the light on something that someone was not ready to look at within themselves, that someone was not prepared to assimilate into their understanding because it shattered the status quo. It went against the norm. It challenged the patriarchy. It challenged the idea. It challenged the status quo. Every single person, leader, revolutionary, great thinker or mind had to come against challenge at some point in their career or their mission when they were saying the world is round and everyone was like, it's flat. And they're like, no, I swear the world is round. That person was told that they were crazy. When Nikola Tesla said, we can create free energy, right? We can create electricity. There's this thing. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure Nikola Tesla went to the end of his life not receiving recognition and praise. Jesus was crucified, right? Joan of Arc was burnt at the stake. And to the death, these people didn't turn against what it was that they were sharing. Che Guevara, I should be better at this considering I'm semi-fluent in Spanish. He said before he died, go ahead, you're going to shoot me. I'm paraphrasing, by the way, but his last words were, go ahead, you're going to shoot me. You're only shooting a person. What I'm trying to say about these leaders, these revolutionaries, these people who are paving the path, many who died for what they were sharing, which many of us on here, we have literally died. We have laid down our lives for our truth, our mission, right? The codes we're here to share, protecting the sacredness of that. They were plugged into something so much bigger than their little self need to be validated or liked, right? They didn't give a shit about being agreed with, being accepted, being digestible. Their purpose, their mission was plugged into something that was far greater than them, which is a source of wholeness and inner satisfaction that is derived from serving something bigger than the self, right? Like Shay said, kill me, I'm only a human. The movement I'm leaving behind, whew, feel that in your body as I'm saying it. The movement and the legacy that I am leaving behind, the revolution, is worth so much more than me and my human body. Jesus. Do I even we're coming up to Easter. Do I need to go into the story of Jesus, guys? I don't think I do. I think we all know how that one ends, right? He came and went through that to be the embodiment of Christ consciousness of Christ to show us that there is the way, and he literally was willing to die for it, to show you guys, to show us all, to show everyone, to show humanity that what he was saying was the truth, that you can resurrect through the Father, that the miraculous can be experienced, right? That there is no death, all the things he was sharing, and the other reasons he did it, which we're not going to get into. I'm trying to say that each one of these revolutionaries leaders, they had faith in something bigger than themselves, and they were here to serve something bigger than themselves, to leave behind a legacy. And I know that in your soul, you know this, okay? And the reason why I'm sharing this for you today is that it is time for you to stop playing small and hiding. Because what you are here for on a soul level is so much bigger than your desire for validation or your fear of getting judged or shamed or burnt at the stake or, like attacked in some Instagram comments, or having the person down the road thinking that you're crazy because you're laying out your crystals, or whatever it is, right? The arguments you're going to have to go through with your partner or your family when you come out of your little witchy closet and say, here I am, I'm a priestess, right? Whatever that is. What you came here for on a soul level is so much bigger than that. And so in order for us to fully step into and embody these soul missions, that's the first key, is to recognize that this is not the first lifetime where you've had to come up against the status quo, right? You have the strength within you because you've done this a bunch of times. So that acknowledgement of like, I'm so used to going up against the status quo because that's what I was born to do. I literally came here to do that. It's encoded within me, and I've had those experiences and lifetimes of strength, which I can tap into. Because while many of them are very traumatic, when we start to relive these lifetimes of being excommunicated and hung and murdered and abused and all the horrible, horrible things we've had to endure, I'm not negating them. But imagine the amount of strength those versions of you had, right? That's some tenacity to keep preaching, to keep, I've heard stories from clients of they were like little medicine women. They weren't even anyone big, and they were so dedicated to doing their herbs and helping people that they would go out into the woods. One of my clients shared this story with me, I think recently, or it seems like a familiar story. She went out into the woods and was isolated, even though everyone in town was in front of other people. They were insulting her and defaming her and saying all these things about her. She still knew that they needed her medicine. So she was out in the middle of the woods, and they would come to her in secret and she would serve them, because it wasn't about her, right? It wasn't about her ego. It wasn't about being liked. So we really need to come to this place where we release that. We release the fear. And that fear, as I said, is not just from our past lifetimes. It's also from this lifetime, our little inner child. If it was bullied, if it was shamed, if it was, told by our parents we weren't good enough, any judgment or rejection that we have come up against is going to surface in the process of us coming to share our authentic truth and our mission, and sharing ourselves more vulnerably and authentically and more raw and stripped back and naked than ever before. Because without those shields of protection, we feel vulnerable to attack, right? There's an exercise I would really recommend that you do if you are moving through any sort of imposter syndrome, afraid that people are going to come at you and say that you're a fraud. I've been through this, guys, many, many times. As I've said on here, I've had people literally to my face saying there are demons channeling through you who used to be my friends. And when this imposter syndrome comes up, it's really easy for us to take that judgment on board and make it true, right? Make that story, that reflection, that shadow that's being thrown back in our face, that our frequency has brought up in someone. I'm not going to deny that my energy, me claiming my dark side, my dark goddess energy, my dragon, all of this essence of me, which is holding a very dark polarity, right? That triggers the fuck out of people's darkness, their own fear of their own darkness. And so I'm used to having projections coming at me. It hurts a lot when it's coming from someone close to you, but I'm used to having those projections coming at me. And I've had to sit in them and really make peace with my darkness. But the more I notice these projections coming at me, And I sit with them and I sit with how it feels to receive that projection. You're evil, you're bad, you're whatever it is, you're the devil, you're from all these lifetimes, all this untruth. You're a succubus, you're a Jezebel because of your sexual energy, right? From little men who didn't know any better, who were afraid. I sit with those projections in that shadow. And the practice is, where am I still judging myself in that way? Right? And you imagine the worst case scenario, your worst fear. You can visualize. I did this morning. I sat in meditation. I took myself through a process where I sat in my truth, in my my column of light, radiating with all my Shakti, all my orgasmic essence. And I sat and I let myself go to every single memory of every single person, every single horrible thing they said to me. There was a memory that came up when I was like 16 or 17, and I was on this thing called Formspring, which people, I mean, that is an invitation for bullying, right? But long story short, I had an account on Formspring where people could post anonymous comments and messages. It's like, why would you even put yourself through that? I don't know, but I did. And I copped it on this Formspring. I had these horrible comments coming in. I had a boyfriend at the time. We were super loved up. Everyone was super jealous, as in like all the women in my year, I guess, were really jealous of me. And I had some horrible messages like, how does he even look at you? You're so ugly. He must look down and see the rolls of fat. I feel sorry for your boyfriend. He's disgusting. By the way, guys, I was not overweight. So I look back at photos of myself in year 12 and I'm like, dang, like she's got a good body. So it was like completely false projections. Horrible things they were saying. Horrible things. You're worthless. You're nothing. You're ugly. You know, how can he even wake up next to you? I feel so sorry for him. And I sat there in this meditation. I was just receiving it all. And it was awful. It was awful. And Spirit showed me like the person behind that and what was going through their minds. And they were just so sad and lonely and felt really bad. And obviously my relationship and me being happy really triggered them because they really wanted that. And I was like, okay. And then I felt forgiveness. And then I looked a layer behind that person, and it was like my mom when I was growing up. And she didn't intentionally try and hurt me, right? But she was very, I'd say hard on me. Our parents were very hard on us as kids, and things that she would say, I would take them personally. But I looked a layer behind that and I could see that it was her own hardness on herself, right? And I keep looking behind layers and looking behind layers and looking behind layers. And I get to the final layer and I just see it's myself. It's my own judgments and hurtful things that I say to myself. And I force myself to sit in the energy of every horrible thing I've ever said to myself in the mirror. When I've said, you're ugly, you're fat, you're this, you're that, like awful things, projections from society, right? I have sat with all the voices in my head telling me I'm not enough, I'm bad, I'm evil, I don't know what I'm doing, right? And I just sat, and it's so uncomfortable to sit there in that projection, in that shadow, just sit there and sit in this energy of your higher self, just radiating out and dissolving it into love and just seeing it for what it is, just projection and shadow. It's not the truth, right? And when you can sit there and just radiate in this energy and let yourself project back to you all the horrible worst case scenarios of things that people can say to you in the comments section when you're sharing your truth, or the ways that people are going to come at you or judge you, right? If you can sit there and in your worst fear, you get up on a stage and people are heckling you, they're throwing tomatoes at you, whatever it is, whatever your worst fear is, that comes and is derived from you sharing your truth, right? Whether that's having to sit and read through horrible comments, which we've all had them. Whether it's someone close to you saying, I don't know, you're Satan embodied or whatever that is. And you sit with it, and you sit with it, and you sit with it, and you sit with all the things that you tell yourself until they don't affect you anymore. That is one way, pretty difficult, like painful way to do it. But that is one way to rise above that fear of judgment. Because if you can sit with all the things that, you know, it's like this concept of nothing that you can say to me or any way that you can judge me is not something that I haven't already told myself and had to love myself through and forgive myself for, right? And that's like the beauty of self-awareness. When you can see all your flaws, you can see all your shadow and you're aware of it. Like I'm very aware of my bullshit. So when someone comes at me with a projection or they come at me trying to point out a flaw or something in my shadow, I'm like, yeah, cool. What else do you have? Because I've seen that and I'm aware of it and I'm working on it and I accept and love that part of myself. So what else do you fucking have? Right? And that's kind of the energy we need to be in while we're fulfilling this mission. It's not going to get easier. There's never going to be a time when we're completely free from judgment and opinion. And I feel like in our society today, everyone's got an opinion about everything and everyone's so quick to judge everyone else, particularly online. No one, like, there is never going to be a situation or a scenario where you are going to be everyone's cup of tea and everyone is going to like you and everyone is going to agree with you. But if you look back to those revolutionaries and their leaders, they had some serious opposition. They had some serious opposition, and it didn't stop them. It didn't stop them sharing their message, sharing their truth. They knew that they were going to, like, Jesus literally knew he was going to get put on the cross and killed for what he was sharing, and he still shared it, right? So before you post or share or take a move towards your mission, can you sit in this energy of like, okay, I'm not like consciously going to attract crap. Like I'm not going to consciously try and call it in, but I'm also aware that I'm not for everyone. That some of the things that I'm sharing aren't going to resonate with people, either because they're not where I'm at, or maybe my way of saying it is not the way that they need to hear it for it to land. Maybe they're not ready. Maybe they have inner wounding to deal with. Maybe I'm just here to trigger them, right? A lot of you are here to trigger some people. Like that is the way that you activate people. Like me, you trigger people. That's not comfortable, right? But if we have an internal part of us that is wanting to be liked and that is afraid, and this is something I had to sit with the other day when I was like going through all these layers and I was like, okay, what is like holding me back from my next layer of even speaking even more unapologetically and even more fiercely. You can feel that energy. Like I've moved through it. I'm on the other side because of this. I had to search and search and search and find, and I was like, okay, eclipse season, time to get rid of this. And I heard this little voice coming from deep within my little girl who was bullied say, but I just want to be liked. I just want them to like me. I don't want to say this shit that's going to make people have to face their stuff because then they're not going to like me. And they're going to hate me and they're going to blame me if they can't like take that as truth and look within them. If they're not ready, they're going to not like me. That's what my little self was saying. I could hear this little tiny little squeaky voice being like, but I just want to be liked. I had to hold her and be like, oh, my darling girl. It doesn't matter, right? It does not matter. Because for every single person that judges you, there is someone out there who needs to hear your message, right? Their life is going to be changed by something that you share. And that is so much more important than us focusing on those people who aren't going to like us. There is always going to be people who don't like us, who we're not their cup of tea, or who do like us and it scares them how much they like us, or they feel inadequate because of us. And so then they hate us and they reject us. It's like every man that I've been with over the past years who couldn't handle the initiation of my fire, of my Shakti. I used to take it so personally when a guy would like ghost or a guy couldn't show up and choose me. And now in hindsight, I see like it's not that they didn't like me, it's that they did and they felt inadequate, right? They felt inadequate. It's not my problem that they feel inadequate. That's what you need to remind. And I'm not here just like throwing shade at all the guys that I've been with because I've been with some incredible guys. But I used to take that really personally. I'd really take it to heart. I'm like, there's something wrong with me. And it's like, what if there's nothing wrong with you? What if they came into your life and they were drawn to your frequency to trigger some inadequacy within them so then they could rise, right? What if your content is here to polarize and trigger people, but that's what is calling them to look at their stuff, right? I see it as an invitation when something on social media or something someone else says triggers me. Maybe I'm just weird because I'm the only one fucking willing to do this, but I take it as an invitation for, okay, why is that triggering me, right? I had a new mentor that I'm working with say to me the other day, like when she sees someone posting something and it's got this icky energy and it doesn't feel authentic, instead of that, her getting pissed off by that, she lets that fuel her to be even more authentic. But not everyone is going to have that perception. Not everyone's open to do that work on themselves. And it's not our job to make them do that work on themselves. It's not our job to make someone see the truth. It's our job to be that truth, to embody that truth, to embody our authenticity, our truth. And that truth invites people into a higher state of being, but whether they accept that or not is not our responsibility. Whether they accept that your presence, your energy has triggered a shadow with them and they're within them and they're willing to look at it or not is not our responsibility. And we can't be sitting there expecting everyone to be like us and have the self-awareness to look at themselves and be like, shit, that post that Beck put up really triggered me, but it's not actually about her, it's about me, right? No one else is like that. Like, there are a lot of people like us, but there's a lot of people who aren't like us and they're not at that level. And we can't expect them to be. But there may be, and there are people who are going to see you unapologetically sharing your truth, and it's going to inspire the shit out of them because they're scared to speak up. They're scared to be themselves. They were told their whole lives they haven't had permission to be themselves, right? And so that's why we do it. We do it to inspire, to motivate. We do it to leave behind a legacy. We do it to break through and call out the things that are wrong in our system. Not wrong, the things that need addressing in our system, the things that need evolving in our system. And in order to do that, we need to be right with ourselves. We need to accept and love ourselves. And so we need to be willing to sit in the fear of the worst case scenarios of what comes up when I think about sharing more of my truth or being seen on a bigger level or stepping into my mission. What's actually coming up for me? Just want to, like, a little short practice with me. I want you to close your eyes and sit with the feeling or the idea of your next level of mission. That might just be stepping into your mission, full stop. Like, it might be just starting to share. And I want you to see if you can feel the resistance in your body and where that is in your body. It might be in your throat. It might be in your solar plexus, in your heart. Just gently asking that resistance, like, why are you here? Why are you here? What are you afraid of? You may get insights, you may not, but just sitting with it, just sitting with it, just sitting with it. And asking your subconscious to show me, what am I so afraid of? What is the worst case scenario? What is the worst case scenario if I was to step into this mission or share my voice more fully? What might happen to me? For some of you, this is going to trigger some very deep soul wounds. I can feel it. And I'm here and I'm holding you. For some of you, it may just be gentle discomfort. Maybe a memory from when you were younger. Just gently allowing yourself, you're held, you're safe, you're loved, allowing yourself to go there now. Can you just sit with that fear, that emotion? Just inviting presence and love. We're not trying to change it, we're just trying to observe it. And I want you now to just put that to the side for a second. Calling your higher self down into your body, feeling the presence of your higher self. You may need to change how you're sitting, standing, your posture. Siya shukuru aya meya kasata eya ku. Shoo. Shoo. And now I want you to see if you can bring up that projection or that fear And you can imagine it as like a person in front of you or an energy in front of you, throwing that fear, throwing those comments, whatever it is, just observing that fear, that moment. And just don't let yourself get pulled into it. Just hold it with your higher self. And what if you chose, instead of taking that on, to continue to radiate outwards anyway? And just allowing the energy from within you, from within your heart, your lower chakras, your womb, your Shakti, your pussy. If you don't have a pussy, your male organs, to grow. Let that fire, that tenacity of being a leader, a visionary, a revolutionary, your true soul essence, the strength. Let it burn up and through your central column, through your body, radiating out, and it can just dissolve. Imagine it can just go out and dissolve all those comments, all that energy, all those projections. And instead of letting this fire be dimmed or snuffed out, those comments, those projections, they just fuel this fire even more. They just fuel your inner essence even more, because it just shows you how important it is that what you're here to bring, share into the world, it's here to awaken that shadow, to illuminate that shadow so it can be excavated from the surface. And you're going to come up against this shadow. It's just part of it. Your light is going to shine on the shadows of others, the shadows within yourself. But that light within you, that fire within you, that source within you doesn't go out, it just burns brighter. So can you let that be your fuel now? Every time you were told no, every time you were condemned, every time you were persecuted, every time you were shamed, judged, rejected, belittled, can you let that now be a fire within you that grows, a light within you that grows, that strengthens? Expanding out, expanding out, expanding out. And can that fire be so bright that it dissolves those projections? That there's no need to even fight these projections or judgments or argue or defend yourself, because this fire within you, this light within you just dissolves it. Just giving yourself a couple more minutes to complete this process. And I want you to ask yourself now, like, who would I be? And what would I be guided to share if I didn't have this fear of judgment, of persecution? And I want you to start to tap into the energy now of who you would be without these limitations. Oh, what that freedom would feel like within you. That energy of freedom that you're here to embody. What that would feel like if you freed yourself from this fear of judgment. Who you would be. How you would show up. How you would serve, how you would share. What you would do. And how you would react to people's projections if you simply didn't give a fuck. And I want to remind you that we're here to embody this energy of freedom, to give others permission to free themselves. But we can't force people to free themselves from the judgment and the self-hatred and the fear. But by us not taking on the projections of others, it's a natural process because they see, oh, wait, my comments didn't tear that person down. Wow, maybe something they're doing is true. If they are still out there doing it and they still look like they're feeling pretty good about themselves and they're still radiating this energy, maybe I want to embody some of that in my life, right? Maybe I want to experience what it feels like to be free of always worrying what everyone thinks about me, always caring about other people's opinions. And so our embodiment of that self-love and self-worth and self-freedom and fierceness and tapping into legacy, tapping into our mission, gives others permission to do the same. So that's the invitation as well. So just remind yourself, for every person that's going to judge you or condemn you, there's going to be someone out there who is inspired to be a little bit more free and liberated because of you. And that really is at the core of what we're all here for. It's freedom. That's what the new earth is. It's freedom. It's freedom from slavery. It's the reminder that we are divine beings who don't need permission, who don't need to be liked or accepted, or don't need anyone else telling us who we are. We know who we are, and it's within us. We are loved and we are whole. We matter, we are worthy. We all have something so profound and special within us to share. And that's not going to look like someone else's stuff, right? I've said this on here before, but there are those of you on here listening who are here to share stuff that the world has never heard before. You're here to create things that haven't been created. There's always a lag in time before people catch up. I am seeing people talking about things. Like, I see so many things in the feminine energy, like magnetic feminine, like feminine business, like lean back, soul mission space. And I just laugh because I'm like, I was saying this stuff 5, 6 years ago, 4 years ago, and it wasn't landing. And now everyone's saying it, and no one's really like, there's so many people out there saying it, not truly embodying it. They've just jumped on a bandwagon. But you can feel and you know when someone is legit and someone's actually embodied the path that they've walked, the journey that they have walked. And what I'm trying to say is, for every single person that's calling you an imposter or saying that you're full of shit, there will be someone on there who feels the truth in the embodiment of what you're sharing. I'm not out here sharing things that I haven't walked the journey of to embody. I'm sharing things that land as truth for people that receive them, because you know and you can feel that this is something that I've walked. I've walked this journey of facing all my shadow and facing the inner shame and guilt and fear, right? And doing it anyway. That's what a leader is. It's someone who's walked the journey and you're holding the keys and the codes. So the ones who are going to say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, or, you know, whatever, they're going to judge you and call you out and say you're an imposter. The ones that you're afraid are going to do that. They might not even do that. They might not even exist. It could be all in your head to keep you safe. They wouldn't know what a true leader looked like if they hit them in the face, because these people don't feel frequency and they don't feel truth, right? The ones who can feel you and are here to receive from you, they know that you're legit. Trust me, they know that you're legit because they can feel it. We're in a time when energy speaks so much louder, embodiment speaks so much louder than words. There will be a time when, in fact, I probably could do it right now, but I just love talking. I could sit on this podcast and I could say nothing and you would still feel what you need to feel from me. Because your energy says everything, right? Your energy, the path you've walked, your mastery, the codes you hold, they say it all. But in order to be able to purely transmit that energy, we need to get rid of the fear of the judgment. We need to get rid of the human stuff that's blocking us from being a pure channel to transmit that out and through us. That's what an oracle is. That's what a priestess is. That's what a priest is. That's what a channeler is. That's what a light worker is. We're here to be pure channels for source to move through. And we can't have those pure codes, which just land as truth, right? It's a frequency. It's felt. You don't have to say anything. It's felt. But that frequency won't be felt if you're blocking it from being felt because you're in fear that people are going to misinterpret you. The thing about God's love or source's love or all the love of the universe, the light, is that sometimes it doesn't feel like love when you receive it because it brings up all of your stuff. All of you guys know on this healing journey, when there's a bunch of influx of light or we go through a healing journey, whatever it is, the deep stuff is excavated. So take it as a compliment. If people are being triggered by what you're putting out there, it means that you're holding a pretty good vessel of energy, right? Or a reflection for them to be, here's the light. Let it go. Shine a light on all your shadows. And that's not you just putting out polarizing content for the sake of it. Because Beck said that if I trigger people, then I'm a pure vessel. No. Like there's a difference. I think we all know what the difference is between just putting out things to be just a dick, I don't know, challenging people for no reason, and just your authentic essence challenging people. And it's usually the things that are triggering in them are things that they've not claimed, they've not owned, or that they desire and they don't think that they can have, right? So it's like that person who's judging you for being outspoken and saying some far out there stuff, they are judging themselves, or they were told to be quiet when they were younger, or they were somehow silenced. But we all know that, right? We all know that on this journey. Maybe the people that are receiving our messages don't, and that doesn't matter because we're not here to be liked. We're not here to be accepted. We're not here to be agreed with. We're here to fucking lead. Let that sink in. You didn't come here to be popular. You came here to lead a revolution and a legacy. You came here to be the living embodiment of Christ consciousness. What path did Christ walk? That's all I'm going to say. What path did Christ walk? Did he have a lot of people who wanted to fuck him up? Yes, he did. Okay. Letting that sink in, because I think I might fry you if I continue talking. But I want you to know that whatever it is that you have to share here is so worthy. And I don't want to see another light worker go through what I've been going through, or have gone through, or moved through. It doesn't have to take as long as it took me. You can just figure this out, receive this transmission, and love yourself. It's possible. You can love yourself. You can be free. And it is very liberating on the other side, and it feels very good. And that doesn't mean that I'm not still human and I still don't go through things where I freak out and I want to hide. But it's just levels of the journey, right? And you're a badass. Like, I want you to remember how much of a badass your soul is, and how much you're bringing here, how much mastery, how much wisdom, how much beauty, how much love. I love you, and I see you. You can't see my face right now if you're listening to the podcast, but I'm just staring at you in adoration. Actually, I'm staring at myself in adoration because I am you and you are me. And we are all one. So next time someone's judging you, next time someone's projecting some stuff at you, ask yourself the question, where am I still judging myself? Where am I still projecting stuff onto myself? Where am I still not accepting myself? That's always a beautiful invitation into your inner shadows. That's it for me today, guys. A little bit of an exciting announcement, but I don't yet have all the pieces together, but soon I'm going to open up Rebirth, which I haven't run in quite a few years, but it is a mystery school style immersion over 3 months, supporting healers, priestesses, light workers, priests, whatever you want to call yourself, psychics, to step into their soul mission and remove anything that's blocking them from fully being anchored in their purpose and their mission. So these are for those who are feeling called, but you've got some inner resistance. Guys, I've been doing this for a really long time. I've walked many, many people through the underworld, through their own fears and memories and karmic stuff that's holding them back from being that light, shining that light. So keep an eye out, and I will definitely be announcing more. And if this has resonated, if this podcast episode has really resonated, please go read my book, because that's a deeper transmission into all of this. And I hope it will give you a permission slip to share what you came here to share. I love you all. Please share this, subscribe, do what you got to do so this gets out there into the world. Please remember how important and valuable what it is that you're here to share is. And remember that you're a badass. Okay. Until next time, beautiful soul, I love you. Thank you for listening to another episode of Cracked Open. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share with a friend if this episode has served you in any way. For more information about the work that I do, or to get in touch with me, read the show notes or head to beckmylonas.com. Until next time, beautiful soul.